Live your life, boy.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Conspiracy Farm, where we don't start the conspiracies, we just add the water. And now, your host of the most state-of-the-art, most informed podcast on the interweb, I present to you Pat Miletich and Jeffrey Wilson. Ladies and gentlemen, are you ready for war?
Yeah, rear naked choke of Cocker Spaniel, bro. You know what I'm saying?
bro.
Change the neighborhood up.
Conspiracy Farm. Go. Check it out.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are locked and loaded for another installment of the Conspiracy Farm. Jeffrey Wilson, always rolling shotgun with my partner in crime, Pat Miletich. Second show of the day, champ. How we doing?
Yeah, man. First one was heavy, huh?
Whoa, man. Whoa.
Tillis Gym in New Jersey.
Wow.
Ian and
Actually
Frank.
had a brother up in his feels, dude. Straight up. You know,
Sonny, yeah. Explain to Sonny who they are, buddy.
Ian Smith, Frank Chumbati, they are the proprietors of the Tillis Gym in New Jersey, which has just been fighting the powers that be in New Jersey to open their stuff. It's just absolutely insane what he's had to go through. But before we get started too crazy, ladies and gentlemen, we have announced numerous times we are now on Dish TV, Dish Network. If you are on Dish Network, go to Dish Communities and search the Conspiracy Farm, and you will see these absolutely. You will think you were watching the Spice Channel because we're so hot, but it is just us dropping knowledge. And I'm serious, man. Of course, we had to have him back. He's been on the show numerous times. He's truly one of my favorite guests, dude. He has a perspective that is ringing so very true right now, ladies and gentlemen. Sonny Puzikas, he is the El Jefe over at Forward Training Concepts and many other things, man. Sonny, how we doing this evening?
I'm doing good, sir. And you?
You know, I can't complain. I can, and we're going to do it tonight, right now.
There you go. That's what we do. We complain.
Well,
but it's complaining with substance. So
Yeah,
for sure.
Well, we should try and keep what the resolutions are, though, right? We've got to discuss those, of course.
Yeah. You know, solutions. And, you know, just going back, you know, before we get too deep into the conversation we had with Ian and Frank today, you know, it was super heavy, man. And it really hit me hard when he was explaining how his mother had caught COVID and went into the hospital. And it had to be a choice of, do I see my mother and her in the final moments, or do I go fight the fight? Because if he went and saw his mother, he would have had to have been quarantined for 12 to 14 days. And he was literally in the middle. If you look at the story about Frank and Ian and Atlas, I'm sorry, what is it, Pat?
Tillis.
Tillis, I'm sorry. Jim in New Jersey. I mean, they're just going through with the governor, all the authorities. It was absolutely crazy that this man had to make that choice. But anyway, bro, I've been following you. Obviously, your lives. We had you on about 2 months ago, and we definitely wanted to have you on to see how these things are playing out. Yeah. And something you said, man, in one of your live videos, which hit me really hard. You were like, man, you lived your life about, you know, the first part of your life under Soviet madness, communist madness, and you were not about to, as a human being who's become an American citizen, et cetera, about to go through that again. Why are you saying that? Are you seeing signs of that type of lockstep going on, Sonny?
Well, I'm pretty sure this is a rhetorical question coming from you, because I'm pretty sure you both guys see those steps quite clearly. And, I think a lot of people, you know, I see a lot of these, but it's not going to be taken away in one heavy punch.
Right.
It's going to be by multiple small cuts. And we're seeing those cuts happening. And you know, it's not so much what the government does. It's more about what we allow it to do.
Sure.
Yes. Because we give them their power. Their power derives from the people.
They are our employees, and they should be reminded about it in a very, very heavy way, because I think they have gotten over the past few decades into a mindset that they are our rulers. And
that's clear.
If we don't remind them soon, they really gonna start believing it wholeheartedly.
Well, let me
When they
ask you, man,
believe-
'cause- and we've said it, man, but we've almost allowed this to happen. They have rocked us to sleep for a very long time, and we've allowed this to go for a very long time. You name it. Whether any of these wars have been started for bullshit, assassinating leaders, domestic, foreign, are we? It's almost rhetorical again, but are we too far gone? Look at what they've allowed to happen over many years, but look at how they've locked it down, metaphorically and literally, in such a short period of time. In 2 months, they've turned this country into something we wouldn't even have recognized 3 months ago.
You know, I'm kind of torn about it, man. I'm kind of torn about it because when I went, for the first time in my life, I did a public display with my rifle. I picked up my freaking rifle, beautiful custom-made AK, and I went to the not barber shop, but that hair salon in Dallas. This was just before she got arrested after the court. And a lot of police officers rolled up, but they were slightly outnumbered by citizens with rifles.
You're referring to the woman in Dallas who opened her shop.
Yes.
Barbershop, yeah, the salon.
Yes, Shelley Luther. And I got to know her. I got to know her boyfriend, and then we talked about things for a little bit, and a lot of people were kind of going like, so what are you guys going to do? What are you guys just going to shoot out with the cops, or are you just going to peacefully surrender? So where's your boogaloo? Where's your, you know what? And I was thinking about it, and I'm like, what if those guys out of the police cruiser stepped out and it became a standoff? Would I go for it all the way, or would I say maybe it's not the time? And I thought about it because a few days later, some of the other guys that were there with me that day, they're not professional gunslingers. They're gun enthusiasts. They went to Odessa, Texas, to help to open some bar. And the sheriff there sent the SWAT team, and they got arrested.
Right.
And a lot of wannabe tough players out on the internet were talking, oh, look at these boogaloo boys. They just dropped their panties and gave up. You should never say, I'm for freedom, come and take it, and all that stuff. And I'm thinking, you know what? Maybe this is America. Maybe this is how we do it. We show that we're willing, but we're not necessarily going to go there yet. Maybe this is a civility of America. And I'm thinking, do I feel that it would be morally justified to go like, no, dude, I can pull the trigger just as good as you and faster? Or to stand there, let them know, and then surrender your gun and get arrested and get released? Because I'm looking, our Governor Abbott, yeah, a lot of people go like, he's an asshole. He came up with all these orders and all these stay-at-home orders and all that stuff. But when he started seeing these Americans, these guys without combat experience, they're not tough guys. They're in skinny jeans, but they're carrying their little rifles, and they're still standing up for something. They're not fighting for it, but they're standing up for something.
Right.
You know what I mean? Maybe that pressure was enough for him to rescind his orders. Maybe that pressure was enough for him to modify those orders where they had to release people from prisons and no longer impose any fines. Maybe this is the correct American way. Maybe it's not necessary that millions of people have to die and streets have to flow red.
Right.
And I'm not saying that we're not going to get there, but I mean, honestly, guys, how many of us would rather see streets flowing red and millions of people dead than going through maybe a little bit longer but more civil process and at least attempting to fix things until we see that it's no longer fixable?
Right.
And that's what I've been asking, not just you, but other cats who have been on. What's that? And there's no definitive line there. What's that line? What is that line of like?
You know what? We cannot really define it, Jeffrey. We cannot
Right.
really define it. But you know what? Once they draw it, we'll know that we can cross it.
But haven't they? You know what I'm saying? When literally, when they're releasing hardened criminals who on record are going out, cutting their ankle bracelets off, even if they don't have an ankle bracelet, going and doing other shit. Some of these ankle bracelet guys I read about the other day in Florida, I think it was, they raped somebody and killed somebody. But they're arresting people who are walking their dogs and hanging out with their daughter.
Yeah, man.
That's me. I mean, for me, and again, it's almost another conversation comparing this to the founding fathers, and they went to war over taxes. They would be almost rolling in their grave, right? Because we've gone so far beyond that. It almost creates that question, where is the line that's being crossed, or that needs to be crossed? Because it seems to me that we've already done.
And you know what? And maybe, just maybe, with these coming elections, some of these players, some of these wannabe kings will have a price to pay. And I believe if some of they pay the price, we will see that to a certain degree, at least in limited capacity, our process is working. If they don't pay the price and all these douchewagons get reelected and they exercise their power further, you know they're going to feel empowered by it, and you know they're going to push it further. And I think if that happens, that's where there will be a shot, as they say, that will be heard across the country.
Well, again, like the news today, this COVID thing that has shut down the planet, not just the United States, the planet, destroyed millions of lives, millions of businesses, suicides through the roof. They dropped the charges on certain senators, 3 or 4 of them, who knew about this and were guilty of basically insider trading, and dropped the charges. Again, where's the line? I want to go to my business and open it up. I have to lament the one in the Quad Cities where we're from, where I read about 100-year-old business had to shut its doors. And this is one of many that's lamenting the same story. But yet these guys get trillions in bailouts and, drop charges from the Department of freaking Justice for literal blatant insider trading.
Yeah, man, that's the line. The line hasn't been crossed by far.
They've already they've laid it. They pissed on it. They've said, "What the fuck are you going to do?" And again, I'm not one of these like, "Hey, go out and like," blah, blah, blah. It's just not how it's going to work. But it's like,
I want to be an optimist. But honestly, from my individual perspective, I will give it a little bit time to see where it's going. I'm out here in the country where I live. Businesses are open. No one is coming to shut people down. No one is arresting. No one is fining people. It's a little bit different in Dallas. But then again, when you look at most of the, especially on the East Coast and then extreme West Coast and most large cities around the country, whether it's Midwest or Deep South, look at judges, look at the mayors, look at the, look at their political leaders, look who they are, and
the mayor of Chicago terrifies me. That woman is a drone.
She's not even bordering on psychopath. She is a straight up psychopath.
100%, bro.
And I could easily go 6th grade on it and describe how she looks like a fucking Klingon, but she's a beautiful human being and deserves the rights of all of us.
No, she's not beautiful human being.
I'm seeing, you know what I mean? We're all beings of light, all children of God is what I'm saying. But yeah, she's definitely
not the bags. The opiate caused huge bags underneath her eyes. Do not tell me anything.
Dude, she looks
about
like
her.
She's a serious transplant from freaking Mars. But I mean, again, going back to what you were saying, and this is, again, I'm not trying to put anybody on blast, but how much is it about rhetoric? Like, yeah, land of the free, home of the brave. We're out there in the woods, fucking, training for tyranny. And when it actually happens, it's more just kind of conceptual rhetoric in some people's eyes. And the only time they really get boogaloo is when it knocks on their personal door. It's not the larger concept of freedom and liberty, and a threat to freedom everywhere is a threat to freedom anywhere is a threat to freedom everywhere. What are your thoughts on that, man? Does it really have to come knocking on our individual door for us to really get it, or should these
individual sovereignty?
Yeah, or should these concepts of freedom and liberty and all that transcend individual?
Because here's the thing, none of them have to knock. It doesn't have to knock on your door. It's gonna be knocking on your door when you can no longer pick up food that you want to pick up. It's going to be knocking on your door when you can no longer make a payment for your apartment and you are being kicked out. State law or no state law, bailout or no bailout, it's going to affect people. And if they continue with this shit, it's going to start affecting more and more people. And guess what is going to start affecting the most? It's going to start affecting the most the individuals who are either small business owners who cannot get that $600 extra unemployment, or surprise, surprise, a lot of illegal Mexican dudes working hard in construction, landscaping, and so forth, and people that they like to call, disadvantaged, the people of color and all that stuff. In South Dallas, you already have a bunch of folks of color, whether they're black or brown or white, doesn't freaking matter. They can no longer afford to buy damn food. You know, they
It's
go into
bad, yeah.
churches, and churches are running out of their freaking, funds, because guess what? They are not allowed to hold services.
Right.
You
Food
know, and
pantries
here's
are
the
drying
thing,
up
man.
everywhere.
All these do-gooders, they talking about, oh, this is about caring about others and all that stuff. Watch it, how within the next 12 months, somewhere in Africa, we're going to have probably additional 1 to 2 million deaths from starvation due to what just happened in civilized world.
Yeah.
And what do do-gooders going to say then? Oh, we need to send more food and money, right?
Yeah.
Why we're here in the first place? Because of your calls for tyranny, because of your calls for because you fell for that fear mongering, because you are willing to become slaves in exchange for a little bit of comfort and pat on the back.
That's a
and
scary
little
place to
word of
be, man.
encouragement.
I wouldn't want to be in one of their heads. That's a horrible place to be, bro.
It is, man.
Yeah, it's
It
scary
is. I
shit.
cannot even imagine how human that supposedly is born in this country, lived in this country, and supposedly understand what this country is about, how human can actually just stay whole, living in this country, but going and calling for everything that's completely opposite what this country is supposed to be about.
Exactly. How do we come back from this, dude? I mean, is there going to be an asterisk? I've said this before, like land of the free, home of the brave, asterisk. And again, that goes to what my larger point of like, do we just kind of have these organizing narratives and concepts that we just kind of lament to make ourselves feel better? But when it actually gets taken and put to the test, it's, and again, I know there are people pushing back on this. There absolutely are. The gentlemen we talked to today, Ian and Frank, I mean, it's happening. But at the end of the day, man, it's like, how are we able to sit by and watch criminals being released while people trying to make a living and just doing the basic right to life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness get arrested? Yeah. This is the inversion of reality, man.
Jeffrey, here's the thing. Remember Bundy Ranch?
Yes.
People stood up and people were ready to pull triggers. Many of them that were there, I knew. They were ready to pull triggers. It was literally a freaking 2-pound pressure away from triggers being pulled. Okay? And why do you think that happened? Why do you think, what was special about Bundy Ranch?
Uranium?
No.
Okay.
No, you know what was special about it? Because people that organized that movement to go there and stand up to the BLM and all that stuff, they used the approach in social media the right way. They triggered what needed to be triggered. Just like Shelley Luther in Dallas has done. A lot of people are not doing it. They're not reaching out. They're thinking that just them talking about their personal tragedy will connect with other Americans. It is not connecting. It is not connecting. So people like you guys, I think this is where it's going to be a huge task on you guys is to start connecting the dots for the listening and viewing public, that you see that guy being arrested and his gym being closed, you see his livelihood being destroyed. That's you 2 weeks from now.
Yeah.
Damn straight.
That's your father 4 weeks from now.
Yeah.
That's your neighbor 6 weeks from now.
Yeah, bro. And I wanted to ask you, man, and we kind of talked about this before because it was the beginnings of it. These contact tracers, these snitch lines. I mean, how much does that freaking keep you up at night? Just like flashbacks of just madness from this Commissar bullshit that was going on, Stasi Germany or
some of their names. There was a couple hundred of them. I can't remember what city it was. Their names were released to the public. And
900 in
Missouri. That was actually in Missouri.
Yeah, it was right here in Missouri.
They went into hiding.
But honestly, what are your thoughts on that, bro? We got snitch lines, what we talked about, and then we just have these contact tracers, which in my opinion, I'm not a Sun Tzu Art of War guy, but obviously they're obviously doing a lot of data extrapolation. So these people are literally almost the infantry of some of this madness. They're on the front lines going into whatever, because I can guarantee you there's certain doors they're going to knock on and do that shit where it's not going to be Girl Scout cookie type reception.
No, it won't be. And here's the thing, man. Think about it. These people that are doing it, these people that are snitches, that are calling on their neighbors, that are calling on their fellow business owners, they doing it without any threat of violence from state against them. They doing it without any reward being offered. They doing it on a free will. You know what's beautiful about it?
Yes. Yes.
This is the moment for America and Americans to come out of the fucking closet, and we're doing it, both on the good side and the bad side. You know what I love about it? The lines will be fucking clear. There will be no questions who is who.
Yes.
I love it, man. In that sense, I absolutely love it. There's gonna be. I had this fucking friend who's, you know what? Screw that. I'm gonna make him public. I already did in some of my live videos. You know, he claimed to be former Navy SEAL, which was fake story altogether. But you know, he's a big influencer in the gun community and all that stuff. You know, months ago he was like, "Send in the National Guard to contain these motherfuckers that are not keeping." You know, the social distancing and not closing their businesses and not staying at home. You know, I will execute them myself and all that stuff. You know, so I called him out on that. He called me a Russian spy publicly on social media. You know, and that I'm doing a good job for the motherland and all that stuff. You know, lately he has changed his tunes. He's talking like fuck the government, fuck the snitches, and all that stuff. You know,
he got red pilled, bro. He got red pilled somewhere.
Yeah, I wonder where that happened.
He didn't get red pilled. He switched. He covered his ass because he feels that in his community, in his surroundings, he stood out like a sore dick out of the bowl of the soup.
Interesting. Okay, I didn't know
he got scared.
He's a poser, dude. He's a fucking poser.
He's a redcoat. He's a brown shirt motherfucker who's gonna turn on the dime.
I was thinking about the redcoats, brother. I've been thinking about redcoats a lot, and there's a lot of them. Lindsey Graham, Mitch McConnell, just to name a couple.
Yeah, and they're coming out. And you know what? Maybe it's a good thing because at the end of the day, this too shall pass. But we will know who is who.
Yes.
And when the next one comes, and it will come.
Ladies and gentlemen, in the background is the wildlife that is surrounding.
I love it. There's a goose in the background.
I love it.
Yeah,
it's not a sound issue.
I'm with the dog here on my pond, and
look at that pond, man.
Sonny's living that life, baby, living that best life. I love it.
They're fishing, catching some bass.
Yeah, actually, we have largemouth bass in here. If you guys want to fish,
I'd be grilling them.
Slightly overpopulated by that stuff. And
I cannot wait till the Conspiracy Farm gets down to hang out with you and Ford Training Concepts and do a little bit of that business. Can't wait. But yeah, keep going, brother.
How much do you fish the pond? Sorry.
No, go ahead, Pat.
I want to talk about your pond still, man. How often do you go fishing, bro? Come on, man.
I actually don't fish, not because I don't like fish. I don't have time. But my son will be coming here to spend a little bit of time, and he's a very avid fisherman. So
I can catch fish. I can catch fish in a mud puddle, so I'll have a good time.
All right, man. You just have to find your way here in East Texas, and
remember Virgil Ward, Sonny? I don't know. Do you ever catch? Remember Virgil Ward, Patrick?
Virgil Ward, yeah, of course.
Fishing guy, yeah. Old school fishing.
Babe Winkleman, man. Babe Winkleman, brother.
Bill Dane's fishing. I'm sorry, we done went fucking sideways, dude.
That's all right, man. No, but look, at first I was kind of depressed in the sense that I'm like, I can't believe what I'm seeing. I can't believe so many people in this country are actually redcoats. I can't believe they're so willing to give up their freedom, their liberty, to betray the principles and just go with a fucking government program. But now that I think back, I'm like, you know what? This is beautiful. Every king took off his clothes. We see him for who he is. We have no doubts who's going to be a friend and who's going to be a target.
Or her. We have our Karens everywhere as well.
Yeah, well, Karens, funny enough, most ladies that I know that are named Karens are actually very nice ladies, and they don't fit into that category.
Sure.
So, one of my friends actually renamed it, and he started calling them Stasi Karens.
There we go.
Yeah.
So
yeah, a good friend of mine, it said, people are gonna start showing their ass, and I can't even tell you in so many different iterations how that is happening. And it's so interesting how you phrase it the way you did. It's almost good. Let's start dividing. Let's start making these demarcation lines. I mean, whatever it is, whether it's a mask or whatever it is, it's good to know who is. I mean, Sun Tzu, Art of War. You want to know who your enemy is.
A lot of the liberals on social,
because that's what I was gonna say. It's just like according to the book, The Art of War.
Yes.
Know your enemy. And we don't have to work very hard. They're exposing themselves like a fucking cheap strippers, you know?
Yeah. But I've noticed a lot of liberals on social media have become more quiet. Like, they're not saying
a lot more quiet. A lot more quiet. But
they're going, wait a minute, am I being red-pilled?
There are ones, no, they're not red-pilled. They simply quiet because this is not their moment to shine. But notice
for their
they
side
were
to
quiet
possibly
about
win.
the COVID-19. They were quiet about snitches. They were quiet about about the economy. You know what when they spoke up? When the black guy in Georgia got killed, and now the black guy got killed in Minneapolis, right?
Yes.
They came out. And look what they made it about. They made it strictly about race instead of understanding that the bigger game is not racism. The bigger game is a fucking police state.
Yeah.
Whether
That's
it's
what I've been
white
trying to
or
tell
black
people.
or yellow or brown, what we need to get a fucking thumb on top of is the out of control policing, out of control bullshit power games that a lot of cops.
And I said earlier today during our episode, which really, I mean, the whole fucking video, and I hate watching that shit anymore. I used to watch those like shock videos and get off on it. I don't know, just sick, twisted. But watching that video, I almost forced myself to watch it. And it was twisted in and of itself, watching that happen. But to hear the people on the outside taping it in like commentary, you know, hey, what you're doing is blah, blah, blah. It's a metaphor for a lot of what's going on. We're seeing human, civil, constitutional rights being trampled on, people being murdered right in front of us. And a part of this culture, we're recording it. Instead of doing something about it, not only are we not doing shit, we're recording it on our phone.
And look, granted, you know, some Joe citizen in Minneapolis, it's not necessary that he's equipped, trained, or has a willpower to do truly something meaningful. He's going to come up and try to push that cop. He's going to get the shit beat out of him or possibly shot. And it's not going to win anything.
But isn't that a metaphor? Again, what we're dealing with now, and again, I'm not trying to advocate violence, but we're at some point in time, we're going to have to start taking one for the team. I'm not necessarily going to do it, but it has to happen that way, right? Otherwise, this is just allowed to happen.
Yeah,
I mean, there has to be some level of resistance or pushback, and I get it. And I feel what you're saying too, and that's what he's thinking. Like, I'm not going to touch that cop because I'm about to get fucking handled just like he is. But again, that's just an aggregate of this larger concept. What we're talking about: how many millions of people are going to be put out of work? How many suicides are we going to have to deal with before we realize a fucking virus of the 99.9?
Will it be too late though?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like,
everybody just needs to stand up. Just don't participate in their programs. Don't participate. Go to work. Everybody. If you all went to work, they couldn't do anything.
Yeah, they're trying to take over this narrative of, you know, this COVID-19 going on, this shutdown going on, the governor of Michigan is being Hitler, you know, and all of a sudden, oh, racism, white cop killing black guy.
I knew that was coming too.
Like
I knew it was coming.
It's like you selling your own people cheap by saying that this is about white or black thing. No, this is about fucking police abuse. White, black, it doesn't matter. It absolutely doesn't matter. You know?
Yeah, because white cops are going to white businesses to shut them down and change their locks and arrest them. Again, you're absolutely so correct, dude. I mean, it sucks. Again, the threat from freedom anywhere is a threat to freedom everywhere. We have to realize that. And that's what sucks when we get caught in this extreme tribalism.
I'm seeing a T-shirt. We got to make a Conspiracy Farm T-shirt. We got to have one white dude beating up another white dude and call it white on white violence.
Plenty of it.
Marketing line coming through there.
But again, the keeping us divided into groups, that's part of the plan. You divide everybody into groups, get the groups fighting off against each other, when in fact the larger plan is fucking everyone.
Now think about that, though. Here's the thing I got to add in here that people aren't taking into account, and I'd like to think Americans are smarter than they're being anyway, that the digital currency and the control of that and the ability eventually with social point system and everything that's been mastered in China, that's how they take the alphas out, because we're the ones that are socially acting up to them, right? So they take out the alpha team, take away their bank account, they can't go to work, can't jump on an airplane, all that good stuff, and all the alphas are starving, bro. So just a warning, people better wake the hell up and go to work. That's all you got to do. Just go to work.
Well, you know, I'm noticing also. I can tell you that there's another positive thing that I'm noticing, at least in the surroundings that I deal with. A lot more dudes that used to be only, you know, yeah, let's just go to the range and shoot some targets. They actually calling and asking questions about how to farm. They're asking questions how to raise cattle. They're learning how to do the sustainable living. They're learning how to do secure communications. They're trying to learn how to use the silver and the gold and other precious things. They're learning about storing ammunition. They're learning, you know what I mean? So there are positives coming out of that are beyond just people understanding what we are facing, but there's a significant number of people that are actually taking very concrete, guided steps to prepare for what's to come.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's what we talked about, man. Not only this is a social, political, financial reset, it's spiritual reset of like, oh, not only just spiritual, but just like your own, get your shit together, man. Let's tighten this up, become more self-sufficient, which they've been frowning on forever. But I think a lot of people are starting to get like, yeah, this is I need to tighten this shit up. Because
the writing is on the wall. The writing is
exactly. It's not ambiguous anymore. It's not a conspiracy theory. Sorry, Pat.
When I see people like out in a parking lot, out in the middle of nowhere with their mask on, and some of them have gloves on or with the same thing, you know, you just go, my God, I feel it's, and I just go, how's the financial collapse treating you? And just walk away because they're sitting there with the mask on. And they're just not. Their brains aren't absorbing that this is a financial collapse. It's not yes, there is a virus, and we pray for everybody that's lost family members. We had a guest on earlier.
It's just a financial collapse. I mean, on the back of that, they're going to build the whole new technocracy, the new digital currency, et cetera. I mean, this is so far beyond the virus. I mean, even though, and again, it sucks, man. Our boys Frank and anybody whose family members have been affected by this, because it has affected people. But again, when you look at the stats and the number, you know, 99.9% survival rate, they shut down a flat planet based off of some bullshit.
Yeah. It's a monetary reset. It's the death of the dollar.
And the largest redistribution of wealth we've ever seen. All right, Sonny, you are flossing right there. You stunting on your, you got some tomatoes there?
Yeah, got my tomatoes, got my basil, got my carrots, got my watermelons, got my dragon tongue beans, got my potatoes, got my food, man.
That's
yes. Got my food.
And behind me there, you see the huge greenhouse there. There's stuff in there as well.
Wow, that's badass. So you can grow during the winter in there.
Behind that greenhouse, that's where my 2 live shooting ranges are. And so, you know.
Beautiful turf, buddy.
He just don't talk about it. He bees about it. That's what's so beautiful, man. Yeah. I can't wait to get down.
I saw dudes now even living in the cities, you know, in their small backyards. They calling, they checking out the websites, they're looking at survivalist YouTube videos, how to build raised beds, how to do aquaponics, how to do other things. You know what I mean? People are starting to pay attention, which I think it's a beautiful thing. It's a good thing, you know, because this was a test. Although this is a financial reset, but as far as control of population, this was a test. They saw how far they can go.
Well, and the ones like us that stood out like a sore thumb have been marked.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Pat, do you think you haven't been marked before?
I've been marked.
See, Sonny said that in one of our first conversations. He said that very thing. If you don't think that you've already been tagged, brother, I remember that.
Pat, you've been tagged the minutes. Let me put it this way. Whichever list you were not on before me and you talked the first time, after me and you talked the first time, you effectively put yourself on every remaining list after that. So
absolutely. I am honored.
Yes, honored to be on the list. So, Sonny, man, let me ask you, I mean, as you see this kind of play out, and like you said, the writing is beyond on the wall. I mean, none of us are fortune tellers. And we don't want to be doom and gloomers, but we're looking at a very pragmatic, very practical situation that's playing out before us. What's going on? 3, 6 months down the line, a year? You know, when we talk about Agenda 21, I don't know if you're familiar with that, but it's a whole reset and just everyone pushed into mega cities, et cetera.
I'll tell you what, let's give sorry. I was just going to say, just have Sonny give the positive if we react outcome. The positive, if we stand up outcome.
Positive if we stand up outcome. I think nothing is going to be happening major until after November.
After
Yeah.
November.
Until
After the election.
After the election.
Do you think there's actually going to be an election?
Yes.
I think there's going to be an election, bro.
I think there will be an election. I think we will probably see some very interesting, surprising moves on the with Sleepy Joe and what's going on in that camp.
Yeah, he's going to die. He's going to drop or something. They're going to put
You had a ringer in there. There's a ringer in there somewhere. I don't know how it's going to play out, whether it's Hillary, Michelle Obama.
That possibility, but when Joe Biden says that he's going to beat Joe Biden, people think it's funny, but they better listen.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
They better listen.
Well, if they do mail-in votes, here's the thing, guys. You got to look at this. If they call for mail-in votes in Iowa, it's blatant. That's so easily corrupted.
Yeah.
That you can't do that. You've got to do walk in the damn building and pull the lever, voting. Period. So if they try to cancel that because of coronavirus in the fall and winter, which they say there'll be a second wave, who knows?
Of course.
But it does happen.
October
Then they just cancel because there's a huge fight or whatever in Senate, or they can't even go in because there's another wave of COVID. And you know what I'm saying?
I think they don't have much chance in that because, for one, I'm pretty sure that this whole mail-in ballot thing will go all the way to Supreme Court, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be ruled certain ways. Not that I necessarily hold big faith in institutions, but I think Supreme Court on this one, they probably will see it a very serious threat that can end the republic. Period.
Yeah.
Period.
FBI also looking at your browser history, all that good stuff, right?
Yeah. So with that stuff, I'm not sure. I think we will see the election. I think we will see Trump being reelected. But I think what's going to happen after, it can go into some very dark places.
Yeah.
If it hasn't already.
Well, we heading there, but it's still kind of undefined, But
well, there's something that we talk. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I think year 2021 will be very decisive because if we're not going to see a complete breakdown and streets running red in 2021, we probably will have a break until 2024. 2024 is my final date for things either changing in civil ways or we will have a war in this country.
I mean, what are your thoughts on the potential? I mean, there's just cash floating out everywhere, just the overprinting of cash, which in my basic financial analysis is hyperinflation. How long's that? We're literally moving on that Weimar Republic type thing where you got wheelbarrows of cash for bread. I mean, 4 years out. God, that's a lifetime. I'm just saying, I don't even know, but the ramifications financially, going back to as we do reset and do start back up again, jobs that were there are gone. You know what I mean? People's IRAs are gone.
There's entire John Deere, dude. There's entire John Deere plants in Iowa, too. In Iowa, I know of plow and planter works and stuff. They're shut down indefinitely. That's John Deere.
Yeah,
John Deere's looking.
So
at
giving it a
over $1
$20
billion this year.
A 2024, Jesus, I'm literally thinking it's going to go gnarly by like next Christmas, just because people aren't going to be, the unemployment or whatever, the free money will be gone, jobs won't be there. I'm seeing a serious implosion taking place sooner than later. I could be wrong.
Free money is easy to come up with, just as easily as they did 2.1 trillion bailout, they'll do 3 and 5 and 8 trillion and so forth. Those bailouts won't do shit. They are nothing but lie and steps towards hyperinflation that's irreversible. But it will be sustainability for appearance of order. This is going to be nothing but delay tactics. I think after this, if the right steps are not made within the next 6 months, we are in the free fall that, as I said, I give the final line as of 2024, possibly 2021. That we will see a reset from the bottom up versus the reset that they imposed from the top down.
Yeah.
And
When it seems like they've literally left no stone unturned, from, collapsing your bigger NBA, et cetera, NCAA, they didn't do March Madness. Holy crap. How much money did they lose there? Down to your mom and pop business. Like they've hit everybody.
Well, just think of that Midwest wrestling, the NCAA wrestling championships, dude.
All of it.
Yeah.
The NCAA or the NCAA finals, the NBA finals, starting of the Major League. This is I'm not really a sports guy like that. I like the UFC, but this is billions of dollars, right?
Absolutely.
And then you trickle it down to the.
How many people are involved in directly and indirectly working for these organizations? How many people serve directly and indirectly during the games, during the tournaments, during the hot seasons, and all that stuff? These businesses,
transportation, hotel workers, restaurants, all of it.
Restaurants, service industry,
Yep.
all the way down to the Lyft and Uber drivers, all the way. Those businesses are out.
Yeah.
Again, they left no stone unturned for the little guy, but the big guys get trillions. Literally, they're like Ubers, bartenders, restaurant servers, everybody.
Yeah.
But the big cats,
Hertz and Avis
just closed. I saw that. Hertz closed.
Hertz,
but here's the thing. We were talking about Carmageddon. We were talking about Carmageddon 3 years ago. I was in an argument online with a guy from the United Auto Workers that worked at one of the plants, and of course, they closed the plants, all the auto plants, and he's totally in support of it. And I'm going, dude, do you realize you're not going back to work? Do you know how many new cars are sitting idle right now? Do you know how many used cars there are out there, and the bottom dollar they're going to eventually go for? Dude, I could pick up a $50,000 pickup for like 20 grand, 10 grand. I'm telling you,
giving them away.
Get that bad. It's called Carmageddon.
Insane. If someone has cash laying around, this is the time to buy a car, for damn sure.
Yeah, and a house. Houses in a lot of places are going to drop dramatically. The prices, right?
Oh, and look, this is going to be big time, a waterfall effect, because you're looking at, real estate collapsing. But you know what the biggest collapse is going to be? Is commercial real estate.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's insane, bro.
The majority of businesses will figure out the ways for most of their workers to work from home. Offices will be vacated. Offices will be dropped.
Oh my God! Thank you. You could make some really kick-ass shoot houses cheap, huh?
Yeah. Really good force enforcement.
What houses? What did you say, Pat? What is it?
Shoot houses.
Force and force training.
Yeah.
All those abandoned offices. Yeah.
Yeah.
Simulation training, all that sort of stuff, dude. That's a blast.
Yeah, but think about it. All of these owners of that commercial real estate, they don't own that real estate outright. They have mortgages on it.
Yeah.
Those mortgages are not necessarily held by big banks. A lot of it is financed through smaller regional banks working with small businesses. Guess how that's going to end up?
Ugly. There's a lot of small banks here in Iowa, dude, privately owned.
Yeah.
And, you worry about them. You worry about the run on the banks eventually,
Yeah, because they're not going to get Fed Reserve dropped.
Bailouts.
Yeah.
No, they won't.
And what happens again?
The insurance isn't going to count to this level.
No, the Wells Fargo, the Bank of America, the Chase will, but some small freaking Citizens Bank in Jacksonville, Texas won't.
Yeah.
And they'll be
out. And what happens when the dollar's worth?
Small businesses, small restaurants in the area. They're also the ones that holding certain accounts.
Yeah.
Guess how it's going to hit? This is going to hit from the bottom up. But what they don't realize, they're lighting up the fuse under the asses of people that are about to lose everything. Yeah. When the rat loses its chance to get out of the corner, it will go through you. And
that's what Pat was saying earlier, man. When you start cornering people and you start talking about people who have nothing to lose, that's a whole other piece.
A lot of those rats, man. They're creating millions, not thousands. They're creating millions of those rats of all colors, of all political leanings, of all religions.
Hey, man, we are the ant farm. And I've said time and time again, let's turn the ant farm, we're the elite's ant farm. Let's turn it into a hornet's nest.
Yeah.
The Japanese hornets? The murder hornets?
Those people making these decisions, they smart, but they're not necessarily wise.
Right.
There's a difference between wisdom and being smart.
Yes.
And there's
Well, it's a
something
lot
they
of it.
don't realize, man. There is
Yeah,
a critical mass that can be reached with populace, and they're pushing towards it. And this is like no populace. Yes, we are we are softened by luxury life. We are soft. We are forgiving. We are wussies. We are freaking, all of that. But you take deep down, each of these soft individuals, even in skinny jeans, has his bottom line.
Well,
At
that's
some point, nothing else will matter, and he's gonna go, you know what? Fuck this.
Yeah. It's got to be people just getting out. You saw what was going on in Hong Kong just a few days ago? I mean, Hong Kong was hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people because China has announced they're going to take it back, right? And the people are losing their shit, as they should be. And that's the sort of stuff
Hong
that needs to
Kong
happen
and
here.
here is what we have: things that go bang bang.
Yeah, we have and massive numbers of patriots. It only took 4% for the American Revolution. 4%.
I can tell you.
What do you think happens with that, Sonny? With those new resumed protests over there in Hong Kong and the new hey, no, we're how long do you think that plays out?
You know what? I've been to Hong Kong, and I know a little bit about the Chinese culture. And here's the problem with the Hong Kong. Hong Kong, in many ways, is America of the Far East. People are soft. People have lived in luxury unseen in that region outside of Japan, maybe Singapore.
Yeah.
And guess what else? They are unarmed. And Chinese government doesn't, it's not so scrupulous about, human rights or violations.
They don't give a fuck, dude. They don't give a fuck.
They're not very sensitive about it. They really don't give a flying fuck about world's opinion about it or whatnot. They understand the strategic importance of Hong Kong. They understand the emotional importance of Hong Kong as far as the worldview goes. They will take Hong Kong. Hong Kong will not get out of this in a good way.
Well, and with the whole, Jesus, we've talked about it forever. The One Belt, One Road. That's the almost the new America, the new hegemony going through, Eurasia. I think they have to lock it all down because they don't want any eruption to it.
Think back to the Clinton administration and them giving satellite technology to that Chinese corporation. If you remember correctly, he gave the okay for that, and that gave them the ability to shoot down other satellites. A sitting U.S. president did that and sold that technology to our enemy. That's the kind of shit that led to this.
Yeah, I mean, China we would be well advised to recognize that China is not our enemy. China is the major player in the world that we either have to learn to outplay or we just roll over and be bitches. Because going to war with China is not an option.
No.
Be realistic. It's simply not an option.
I look at Agenda 21. I look at Agenda 21, and one of the goals of Agenda 21 is a global army. They've got massive hardware over in the South China Sea area right now, both countries. Look, if I'm an elitist and I think like my enemy, and these sick fuckers do think like this, I'm thinking, okay, we're going to have the massive war in the South China Sea. We're going to get rid of as much of the American and Chinese military as we can with one fell swoop.
Yeah,
man.
Maybe.
And then coronavirus. If you had coronavirus, you can no longer enter the U.S. military. So you see the system of getting rid of a bunch, calling 1 million extra veterans up, go get all them killed. You see what I'm saying? The rest of the next wave can't get in with having had coronavirus. There's nobody left because almost everybody got it. And then you move in the one world army, bro. That's the jigsaw puzzle coming together on that side.
It's it's really hard to predict where it's going as far as our game with China is, but it's for us it's irresponsible for a lot of people. They go like, it's time to fucking just nuke those guys. Come on, let's be realistic here. Yes, they're not as sophisticated. Yes, they're not as strong. They have enough to end this shit for good.
Yeah.
Well, and just like mutually, and I hate to keep saying this, but just like mutually assured destruction in the 80s, they were never even going to do that then. That was just that looming possibility. But even now, everybody's so economically interdependent. Everything is now asymmetrical.
Bro. They're safety. You got to think like a satanic sick bastard.
I mean, whether it's covert action, propaganda, biological stuff, everything is asymmetrical now. They're not going to scorch the earth like they've been doing.
No, only limited warfare is good business. Unlimited nuclear warfare is not a business. It's the end of all of their incomes.
Yes, they're not going to do that. But they will keep that. They will keep that threat looming. You know what I mean? If North Korea is going to nuke everybody, but that's like it's and almost like right now.
I don't know if either one of you guys heard this, but I looked up an article, came across it, and Israel announced building the third temple, which obviously includes taking down the Al-Aqsa Mosque, the second or third most holiest building in all of Islam.
I read they were building on a different site. It was when they were building, they're going to rebuild it.
As far as I know.
Is it okay?
Yeah.
Okay, it's possible.
So that's some ballsy stuff right there in terms of prophecies.
They don't want to wait for the Moshiach. They got their own little Messiah going on over there. They call the Moshiach, and it's the
leader of the Jesuits just died.
The Black
Pope.
The Black Pope. Black Pope just died, bro.
No.
Yeah, this stuff happening in the Middle East with Israel. I'm just, a lot of my views would be extremely unappreciated, and then I would be called all kinds of names that I'm anti-Jewish and all that stuff. But I have some strong views about
the leadership. The leadership, certainly.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Not the people. The leadership is
well, again, it sucks to have to pre-qualify that, because as we're talking critically about North Korea or Chinese, that's the government. We're not anti-North Korean, anti-Chinese. We criticize the American government. We're not anti-American. Right. And that's what's kind of weird when you get into that realm. It's like, ooh, you must be anti. Wow, just because I'm criticizing the government and certain policies. Like, wow, it's a bit of an overreach, but it happens. It happens.
A lot of people jump the shark like that, bro.
They do. They're just looking for that shortcut to thinking, and that's just unfortunate because it just prohibits people from really kind of seeing things that just are actually happening in history. But they kind of weaponize it and make it seem like, well, you're bad if you touch that third rail or this third rail. But that's why it's beautiful to do shows like these and talk to people like you, Patrick. Talk to people like you, Sonny. Cut through that nonsense, that bullshit.
Yeah, there's a lot of nonsense and bullshit, and it's becoming tiring. It's becoming. I don't know. There's so much virtue signaling. The amount of noise, the amount of noise versus actual signal is fucking just phenomenal. It's driving down in the city, seeing these douche wagons with the nozzles on their face in the car by themselves and wearing a fucking glove.
Dude, oh my god.
And you just want to take a baseball bat and start fixing the overall IQ level of humanity, but you can't do that because we're a nation of laws.
Yeah. Well, everybody got their own safe space. This was the actual safe space stuff going on in colleges with the millennials was just conditioning and planting seeds, right? Yeah. Now everybody's got their own safe space, and I look at people actually standing on the dots in stores, and I just go, wow, man.
Not just standing on the dots in stores, they're standing on the dots outside of the store, and those dots are not under the awning.
And they're getting rained on.
And they're standing in the rain instead of
under
the fucking awning.
I almost, part of me, it's so sick, like Pavlovian, like
That's
training.
I want to be apocalypse, bro. Those are the ones involved in the zombie apocalypse.
I want to throw him a beach ball and have him like train see like and like do a little dance for him. That's almost what the fuck it is, dude. It's so like ridiculous. No,
man. A lot of people have been conditioned, and conditioning has been done through the mass media, in many ways through social media. I mean, look at the stupid bitch. What's her name? Alicia Milano, right? With her fucking
did you see that?
Yeah, with her knitted mask on her face, and I'm like, how dumb can you be?
And she you talk about virtue signaling. She's her in the foreground with her 2 kids in the back, and her husband. She's like, keeping everyone safe. Like, you fucking TikTok dude, go away.
She's got to be paid by the CIA or Soros or.
You almost wonder, right?
There's no way you could be.
You know what? I think
she's a good actress. I had a crush on her when I was younger.
Oh, dude, she was in the spank bank for
that's all ruined.
No, she was a hottie. She used to be.
She was in the spank bank for a minute.
There's no doubt about it. But
Jeff's eloquence
she's
is
one
touching.
of those of 70 IQ hotties. You know what I mean? But besides that,
I have a friend who dated her that said she had a botched boob job and her left nipple is numb. But you know,
I'm gonna put it
that
out
fact.
I'm
just saying.
So Jeff, obviously, you know, I wanted to ask you guys. This is a pretty interesting concept, and it actually is true. I looked it up and I researched it a little bit, but the decalcification of the pineal gland. That is what I've been saying for many years, is that there's a difference in the herd because some people's pineal glands are calcified, right? So hydrochloroquine, what color is that pill?
I don't know.
Well,
What is it?
hydrochloroquine, you guys froze on me, but I'm sure I can talk, so let me tell you. Hydrochloroquine is actually a red pill, and it decalcifies the pineal gland. It's part of the treatment for decalcification of the pineal gland. So the all-seeing eye needs to be awake for people like you and me to recognize what's going on in the world, to have a perception
Well, do you
of
find
truth.
Do you find that interesting? I'm sorry. Do you find that interesting that last week the WHO suspended studies on hydroxychloroquine?
It burned down 2 factories a week ago?
Yeah, knowing, I mean, that has been in practice for an anti-malarial drug and been using it for almost 10, 20 years. And now that they're finding out it's working and it's not quite going to be in the same line of the vaccine, they shut it down. Even though we've talked about some of the parent companies who are majority owners in companies that produce and manufacture and distribute hydroxychloroquine is this company called BlackRock, which you need to check into. It is fascinating that the WHO has shut it down as a possible treatment when it's been working forever.
Well, here's the interesting fact, right? Hydrochloroquine, I believe you can get the full treatment for what, $10, $20?
That's $11.
$11.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, there's no money in that.
Basically, the new treatment that they're working on, it shows promise. I believe it's $1,000 a pill because
Of course.
it's going to be patented.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, of course.
And
of course.
but that's just a treatment for the Kung Flu, right? I mean, COVID-19. Sorry, it was racist.
The floating AIDS, the flying AIDS.
But I can guarantee you this, guys, especially in Europe, especially in some other places, they will implement a ban on travel unless you have been vaccinated.
Or the app, that they're floating around. The app that everyone's supposed to be downloading.
Tracing.
I think is going to be even preemptive.
You know, that can be debated because someone will go like, well, my phone is unlocked and it doesn't accept these apps and all that. I think they're going to go straight up to pretty much mandated vaccination. They're certainly not going to suspend any or extend any research into it, as with most vaccines is 5, 7, 10 years. We're probably going to have it by the middle or beginning of next year.
Which means they had it already. They already had patents on the virus. Fauci had patents on the protein that was attached to the virus. So they've had the vaccine already laid out.
Just like all the bills, all the bailouts, all the stimulus bills, the trillions and trillions of dollars, those were written long before this happened also. They were sitting on the shelf and ready to go. They were attached to fucking slingshots.
Yeah, so I think it's going to be interesting reset in that sense, because what you're going to see is there's going to be some choices to be made. There's going to be some choices to be made. Think about it. For a lot of people that do business, for a lot of people that have families, what they're going to do? They're going to posture and go like, no, I'm not going to take that one stab in the shoulder because I cannot go see my parents or whatnot. They will take that stab to the shoulder. And they will get vaccinated.
Or as Alan Dershowitz said on a recent interview on somebody's show, we have the right to plunge a needle into your arm.
Well,
that's some very hyperbolic.
I'd like to meet that dude in person.
I tell you what, I have a right to plunge something else into you.
Yeah,
it's called hot lead. Is it called hot lead?
I prefer cold steel.
Yeah.
Well,
or the toothpicks under the fingernails type thing.
Here's the thing, though, that people think that we're the crazy ones for talking this way. And look, we're halfway joking. Because if it gets that bad and we have to protect our families, we're going to do shit that we have to do, right? So that's just the way it is. But I don't know, man. It's I was going somewhere with that, and I got down a trail with emotion.
Reality has been inverted. We keep saying it over and over again. When you can allow hardened criminals to be released, and you're literally arresting people for engaging in the right to life, liberty, pursuit of happiness, opening their businesses, hairstyle or hair salons or whatever
Did you
it
see
is.
the video of the Australian woman with her little child?
Yes.
Yeah, see that to me is like this
I was there.
this
That
is
was
a
not gonna
prime
happen.
example why no
Not that.
nation should allow themselves to be fucking disarmed. Period.
Roger that. And four.
We are living in
Yeah.
absolutely crazy times, my man. Sonny Puzikas, shout out. Where can we track you down, brother? We're going to get you back on here in a couple months and update as this madness unfolds. But how can people follow you and see what you're up to, man? Because your Facebook Lives, dude, that's fire right there.
Yeah. I haven't been to Facebook jail lately, which is kind of surprising.
Uh-oh, you're slipping.
I
You're
don't know if
slipping.
they're preparing an assassination on me or something like that, but who knows?
Jeff Zuckerberg's
Go
going
down
to
to
show up to
blocked.
your house.
Do you on your phone go down to blocked on, say, Facebook, and then type in, what is it, fact checker, and fact check, and
Yeah.
block
Okay.
every one of those.
Yeah,
And then you
because
get-
there's a lot of them. There's like 80 of them out there. Yeah.
Yeah, but I've been doing better. I've been doing better because of that.
Yeah, that's good, man. Yeah, but I have my website, sonnypuzikas.com. I'm obviously under the name of Sonny Puzikas and Solus Puzikas on Facebook and Instagram, and Forward Training Concepts on YouTube and all that stuff. So I'm relatively easy to find. I'm one of those controversial guys that speaks with crazy accent. And,
Yeah, and when you get pissed off, do you cuss in Russian?
you know what, Pat? If you hear me say "suka blad," it's not good. It's not good times.
I think that's mine.
Mental note.
It's not good times,
Everyone,
man.
if you're out there doing shots with Sonny and he says that, protect your neck. Sonny, it is always a pleasure, champ. Always a pleasure, brother. Love you guys, man. I obviously check back down the road here, see how everybody's doing. I hope you and your lovely wife and the family are safe, my man. Enjoy those beautiful grounds you are out there down in Texas. Hit up Sonny if you want to get your training on. Peace and so much love, guys. It has always been fun. Peace and love.
All right, thanks,
Always
Jeff.
be more.
Thanks, Pat.
Absolutely. Holla, guys.
Awesome, man. Thank you, guys. Sonny, you stay safe down there, buddy.
Will do, buddy.
All right.
We'll talk
Later,
soon.
guys.
Okay, good night.
Wood.